Hello and welcome to this session, and in this session, which is an introductory session on Python, we shall understand as to why and how really Python has been able to evolve as one of the top programming languages in the world today. Even before I dive deep and explain to you the reasons for its popularity, just have a look at this program. Yes, it is a program in C language, and this is a program which is used to print Hello ABC. Well, some of my learners would be confused that this being a course on Python, why is it that I am projecting a C language code over here? There is a reason for it, and just in case you don't understand the C programming language, absolutely nothing to worry, just that this program upon execution is going to print Hello ABC as the output. For the time being, let me keep this C code aside. If the same has to be achieved in Java, then this is the programming code through which I can be printing the same, that is Hello ABC. Now that you have seen the C and the Java code, irrespective of whether you know these two programming languages or not, this course being a course on Python, I would wish to say as to what really is the code for printing Hello ABC in Python, and have a look at this. Just one line of code, and upon execution, you get Hello ABC. In other words, now if you would look at all of the three programming languages code, you can easily understand that Python happens to be such a simple programming language that really you need not write too many lines of code to get your job done. And in this case, you can easily notice that Python could achieve the expected output through just a single line of code, what the other two programming languages had actually taken so many lines of code. So I'm sure through this you understand that Python is a simple and a clear language. No doubt we will have to dive deep and understand things better. So let me proceed and give you a few more examples to prove to you that Python indeed is a simple yet a powerful programming language. Now have a look at this programming code. Again, this is a code using C language, and this program basically is used to tell us if the input number happens to be an odd number or an even number. I would wish to tell my learners not to bother much about the code because this is not a course on C language. If you already know C language, good. In case you don't know C language, then definitely I shall recommend you to watch my series on the C programming language, in which case you will get complete clarity about C language. But as of now, all that I want my learners to understand is that this is a C program code upon the execution of which it shall ask me to enter a number. Just in case I enter the number as 5, you can notice that the output is odd, meaning that 5 is an odd number. And again, in case I execute and when it asks me to enter a number, in case I enter the number as 6, then I'm getting that the number happens to be an even number. So without bothering much about this programming code, I'm sure you've been able to understand that this programming code happens to be such a code which will tell me if the input number is odd or even. But then in case I have to do the same in Java, then this happens to be the programming code in Java. Again, you need not worry much about the syntax of this because this is not a course on Java. In case you want to really master the Java programming language, then there is a separate video series on Java which I would recommend my learners to go through in case you have to understand this syntax. But all said and done, what I want you to understand here is that even this code upon execution would ask me to enter the number, and in case I enter it as 5, I'm going to get the output as odd. And just in case I again execute the program, and when the number is asked, in case I input the number as 6, then it is going to give me the output as even. In other words, what I want you to understand is that this happens to be the code in C programming language, and this happens to be the code in the Java programming language. And you can see all of these are of multiple lines, but then the objective of both of these is the same, that upon execution, it asks for a number, and then based on the number that I shall input, it would inform me if it is odd or even. But then the point is, how is the same achieved in case of Python? How many lines of code does really Python require to do the same? Well, here you can notice that it is just these 2 lines of code. Yes, what C language took so many lines of code to achieve, what Java took so many lines to achieve, Python takes just 2 lines of code. Don't bother much about what these 2 lines of code are and what are the various aspects that are present in these 2 lines of code. Don't worry about it. This is still an introductory session on Python. When I will deep dive into Python, definitely you shall understand every aspect of this. But then upon execution, again you can notice it is asking me to enter a number, and in case I enter it as 5, I get it as odd. And then again upon the execution, it will ask me to enter a number, and in case I input the number as 6, it shall tell me that the number is even. So again, I am sure through all of these three examples you have realized that Python happens to be such a programming language which is simple, which is clear, concise and compact. Well, that is one of the main reasons as to why really Python shot to popularity initially. But then we have to deep dive into Python and understand as to what really is the reason for Python to rise to fame, and most importantly, how it is presently being used in the real world project. So let me proceed. To understand the power of Python, think about Instagram for a moment. Just imagine how many pictures, how many videos, how many messages are really uploaded every single minute. Without the help of a robust programming language like Python handling all of this data efficiently in the backend, it would have been a nightmare really to manage this voluminous data. Instagram engineers use Python to manage their huge database, serve millions of users simultaneously, and ensure that everything runs smoothly without crashing. So the next time you use Instagram, remember Python is the backbone. Not just Instagram. Have you ever used Uber? If so, you would have probably noticed something pretty impressive. The Uber app shall give you the estimated wait time for the driver to arrive at your location. Well, have you ever wondered as to how really the app makes such a prediction? Is it magic or is it just guesswork? Well, let me tell you, it is neither magic nor guesswork. Rather, what is more fascinating is that it is machine learning in action, and even here, Python is used to create such machine learning models. Yes, by analyzing millions of trips, Python helps Uber app optimize routes and improve the overall experience for the users. Not just does Python help you in estimating the wait time, it also tells you as to what would be the estimated travel time and also the cost that you need to incur for this travel. So all said and done, the next time whenever you are using the Uber app or the Ola app, remember again Python is at its backbone. Not just Instagram and Uber. Take for example Tesla's driverless cars. Yes, these driverless cars rely on artificial intelligence to make decisions in real time. In fact, these driverless cars see the world using their cameras and sensors, but then they think using Python. Well, what do I mean by saying that they think using Python? What I mean to say is that Python is used to create such machine learning models that process the data received from the sensors and the cameras at lightning speed and help enables the car to navigate accordingly. So all said and done, as we move forward in our Python journey, you shall definitely understand that Python is not just another programming language. It's a gateway to solve real world problems, making your ideas come to life and maybe even change the world based on your new ideas. Whether you want to create the next big app or dive deep into artificial intelligence, Python is what you have to look into, and hence, let me proceed. If you will have to understand everything about the present fame and popularity of Python, then you really have to get back to its history. You have to really understand its journey, and let me tell you, it all started in the late 1980s when a Dutch programmer named Guido van Rossum was working at a research institute in the Netherlands. He had a vision of creating a new programming language that would be easy to learn and easy to use even for the beginners. At that time, back in the 1980s, the popular programming languages were C and C++, but then the problem with these languages were that it was difficult to understand and required writing long lines of complex code. Not just beginners, sometimes even experienced programmers used to struggle due to the long and confusing syntax of these programming languages. Guido van Rossum wanted to create something different, and hence he decided that he will be coming up with a new programming language which is both simple, flexible and powerful, and that is how Python was born. Actually, it was in the year 1989 that Guido van Rossum started working on Python as a Christmas hobby project. Yes, you heard it right, it was his side project. And within 2 years, that is between 1989 to 1991, his first version of Python was ready and hence was released. But then, why was this programming language called Python? Was Guido van Rossum a fan of snakes? Well, actually no. He was inspired by the British comedy group Monty Python's Flying Circus. Yes, this British comedy group was known for its humorous and unconventional style. In fact, Guido von Rossum also wanted his programming language to be fun to learn, to be fun to use, and should not be too serious and clumsy. And it is inspired by this comedy group that he named his language as Python. Though initially Python was loved by developers for its simplicity and readability, yet what really made Python stand out from the rest of the programming languages was how it evolved over time to meet the needs of the modern day programmers. In fact, by the early 2000s, many companies such as Google and YouTube had started to build large-scale web applications. In order to support the building of such large-scale web applications, initially Python came up with the support of a framework like Django and later came up with the support of a framework like Flask. Well, at this point in time, I'm sure my learners would not be knowing as to what really a framework is and what really is the role of the frameworks such as Django and Flask in the development of large-scale web applications. But all that I want my learners to understand in this introductory session is that Python stood out from the rest of the programming languages by meeting the needs of the modern day programmers. In fact, that way, even today, platforms such as Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, and a host of these are built on Python because it is easy to code, it is easy to scale and maintain such code that is coded using Python. As Python grew in popularity, new versions of Python were released and each version was adding more and more features and addressing the needs of the modern day programmers. The most significant change to Python came in 2008 with the release of Python 3.0. This version fixed all inconsistencies in the language and made it future-proof. Fast forward to today, Python is still growing. It remains one of the most popular languages worldwide. Python's continued evolution is driven by its open source community. What I mean by the open source community is that developers from all over the world contribute to its improvement. The Python open source community is so massive and it has led to a large-scale ecosystem of libraries and frameworks, and by making use of these libraries and frameworks, it is almost possible to build anything that you imagine. So definitely Python is a force to reckon in the 21st century. So all said and done, Python's journey to success can be categorized as the 1990s. It started with a humble beginning. By 2000s, it enters the mainstream. By 2010, definitely there was a Python boom, and now in the 2020s, Python dominates the programming landscape. As of the 2020s, Python was considered as the #1 programming language in major indexes such as the TIOBE index, the Redmonk index, and the GitHub's Octoverse. What's interesting is that Python is no longer just the language of choice for beginners or for academic research. Python is today extensively used in cloud computing. Not just in cloud computing, it's also used in cybersecurity. Along with cybersecurity, it also plays a major role in the Internet of Things. Well, that way, what I want my learners to understand is that Python has become an essential language for technologies like deep learning as well as for technologies such as quantum computing. Well, at this stage, you may not understand as to what all of this is, but one thing that I would wish to tell my learners is that in case you have a strong grip and a strong hold over Python, then definitely mastering these technologies moving forward shall be pretty simple. So, in this introductory session on Python, all that I wanted to communicate to my learners is that the beauty of Python is that it's a language that grows with you. Whether you are learning Python as a child or as a teen or as an adult, definitely it provides a path for lifelong learning. In fact, even such working professionals who didn't start with Python in their early years can pick it up now in life and immediately see its value in solving real-world problems. Only thing that I would wish to say you is that the earlier you start, the more time you will have to develop your skills, but then the beauty of Python is that it's never too late to begin. So whether you are a student or a working professional, Python is here to empower you to create, innovate and solve real-world problems in ways that were once unimaginable. Well, all that I would wish to say at the end of this introductory session to my learners is that if you want to master this very important programming language which can shape your career in the 21st century, then all that you have to do is to continue watching this video series. By the end of this video series, you would have definitely mastered this very important programming language of the 21st century. Hope this session was informative. Meet you in my next session.